Hi, I'm Lexi at FluteToot Marketing, and here are 5 things that you should be wary of to make sure that you are not hiring a dodgy web designer. The first one is promising you a certain search ranking. For example, saying that we're going to get you on the first page of Google. Now, no one can promise you this. Even the best SEO expert in the world is not going to be able to guarantee you a place on the first page or at the top of the first page or anything like that. The only thing that's going to show up on the first page of Google as a non-negotiable, and sometimes not even then, is your exact brand name. Now, that only helps if someone is searching for you and they've already heard of you. But in terms of people coming across you, in terms of raising brand awareness, in terms of showing up for your content, it's not actually that helpful. So yes, they might promise that you're going to be on the first page of Google, but it might be your exact company name that someone's looking for. And that is not the same thing. The next thing that I should warn you about, which I have unfortunately seen far too much from my clients and has led to a few new domain purchases and rebuilds because they didn't have the website they thought they did, is the rental trap. Now, I'm not talking like, the millennial rental trap or anything here, but being told that a website is yours and paying a monthly subscription for that website. And we're not talking about hosting or care plans. That still means the website is yours, or it should mean the website is yours. And if you wanted to take it somewhere else, you could. But some websites are on a pay monthly scheme. And what that means is you're basically just renting that website. A lot of the time, this will be a website that is already ranking well and it will be sold to you. And they'll say, oh, this has got all the great keywords for you. We can just add your branding. We can just add your business name. We can add your content, your services to this website. Be very wary when people suggest that, because that is renting a shop front that at any point, if they decide to put the rates up, and usually that's what happens, is they see you're doing well. They see that because they're tracking things, they can see that you're getting a lot of traffic, you're getting a lot of leads generated through this website, which is great. But then they're going to want a cut of that. And so when they start putting the price of that up, because they can see the website is doing well, they're going to end up pricing you out of it, or they're going to end up taking such a chunk of your business that, then how to get out of that. The problem is that if they've registered the domain name and it's in their name, that domain is theirs. I don't like registering domain names for my clients for this reasons, because I always think people should register their own domain names, even if they don't do anything technical beyond that, and they just give the login details to a trusted web developer. There is still an important definition of the website should be purchased by your company. You should have paperwork to back up that domain purchase, so that if it does get hijacked, you have some kind of proof that it was in your hands. Now, luckily, I've never had to get into a legal battle over a domain. To be honest, a lot of the time it's not worth it. But for a business owner that finds out their domain name is not theirs, or finds out their website is not theirs, the difficult thing is that all that search ranking that you have built up, all that domain authority you've built up over time is gone. So once someone has your website, your domain, whether you rightfully own it or you don't, the issue then becomes, okay, now I'm paying too much per month for my website. How do I get around that? Can I go to cheaper hosting? No, because the website isn't yours to take with you. Can I rebuild a website but keep the domain so that I'm keeping that domain authority that's been established with Google? No, because you don't own the domain. And therein lies the problem. So you end up having to buy a new domain name and start again. Always make sure that you register your own domain name. And I have guidance on how to do this if you want. Or make sure at least that they are registering it under your name, even if they are making the purchase. Make sure there is a trail back to you right from the beginning, so that you may have a claim to ownership of the domain later if you need it. The other issue with websites and their sort of rental model, of course, is dependent on the platform. Even if you have set it up yourself on somewhere like Wix or Squarespace or Shopify, those platforms are still not the owners of your website, but they are still the providers of the code of your website. You're still going to find that you can't take it anywhere else. So if any of these platforms put their prices up, or they limit features, or they change their policies, you can't go anywhere else with that exact website. And that might also be a limitation for you. There is a reason that I prefer WordPress, and it's because you can take it across the internet with you, because there are so many contributors to the WordPress project that you're always going to find other developers who have that specialism, and you're always going to be able to have that code on your server and manage it as you see fit. You're probably going to want to get some professionals to help with this, but at least that those files are under your control. If you want to move them, delete them, change them, they're all under your control, and you're not reliant on a particular platform providing that website service for you. It's not for everyone, but it does help avoid some of this ownership issue. Thirdly, we have the too good to be true website, and these are free websites or very, very cheap websites. And usually they come from a few different sources. So it might be that a student is building up a portfolio, and if you're not looking for someone with a lot of experience and you just want a quick placeholder on the internet, that might be fine. However, they're probably not going to have the experience to help you when something breaks, and they're probably not going to have the experience to help you integrate it with your existing tools or to have a long game in mind, because they are probably just building their portfolio. Again, there's nothing wrong with a student working on your website, but make sure that you have a lot of backups. You have other people you can call if they don't follow through, because this might just be a stepping stone to a completely different path for them, and then you're not going to have that ongoing support that you need. I have repaired a few websites that were originally built by students, but they were not built to last, or there were some major things that they missed, simply lack of experience and lack of seeing things, how to maintain things for the long term. But they are a source of good opportunity if you can find the right ongoing support afterwards. Another source of these too good to be true websites is usually in the form of very, very cheap websites. And it's very easy to find them in places like Fiverr and Upwork. I'm not saying everyone on Fiverr or Upwork, sometimes I do work with people from those platforms. I'm not saying that they aren't professionals. However, some of them don't have the same quality control, don't have the same experience, and although they might have a big portfolio of lots and lots of little sites, they might not actually be designing these websites themselves. A lot of them will be using template libraries, and some of the content that is written is also likely to be AI generated if you haven't provided all of it yourself. Ideally, a design should happen when they have the content so that they know what they're designing for. Unfortunately, with a template, you would end up modifying the content to fit the template, which means that you might omit things, or the template might not actually flow nicely anymore because you've had to make so many adjustments to it from the original. That's where you start having problems with templates, is when you want to really modify things and expand on things. Now, template libraries can be a good starting point and they can be great for inspiration, but they are not necessarily built with you in mind. So just be careful that if it looks too good to be true in terms of price, and it looks too good to be true in terms of the speed of the turnaround, it is probably from a pre-existing library and they are just tweaking it. Again, that might be fine if all you want is a simple website and you're not too worried about the commitment of maintaining it long term. You're not too worried about how adaptable it is, but just be wary of the fact that a design is meant to communicate something. That's what makes it a design and not art. But the problem is, these are not meant to communicate anything in particular. They're just meant to be starting points. The other issue that I am occasionally seeing is the custom CMS. And it's when an agency will have developed their own custom platform. So think something like WordPress or Drupal or Joomla, but their own version of that. I've known developers who have done this and they've done an amazing job of it. However, what if they decide not to work with that CMS anymore? What if they decide to go into something completely different? Or what if they decide to go, close up their business, do something else? What if they stop working on that project and they stop maintaining it? Suddenly then your website can't be easily taken over by another developer, because a CMS is usually quite a big foundation for your website. Also, that CMS, that software, might be owned by the company, and then you moving it to a server that isn't theirs might either not work because it's not been configured to work with other servers, or it might just not be allowed because they want to keep their own code on their own servers. So it can be really difficult to get that ongoing support, and it means that you are very much tied, like you would be with Wix or Squarespace, to one provider. And I do think that as much as you might love that provider now, it's always good to have other options. They may be amazing, they may do nothing wrong, but terrible luck might befall them, and then you're going to be on the other end of that through nobody's fault. It's good to have a backup plan. One more just for good measure, and that is contracts. If they are not offering you a contract to sign, if they do not have clear terms and conditions about who owns what at the end of the project when all the bills are paid, then run. It's not enough to just have a few things written in an email. A website is a big complex project. It's going to take into account things like legal documentation, your content, any content they provide, any images they provide or that you provide, and the licenses for them. Things like fonts and software that might be included in that website. Who's responsible for licensing that? Who's responsible for maintaining it? Or what else can you do with any assets you've been provided? Make sure all that is clear, because you don't want to find out later on, actually, someone's built you a website, but they've retained so many rights to it that you can't reuse or repurpose any of the content on the website or any of the assets for the website, or you can't modify it however you want to in the future because they have locked you out of that in the contract. Make sure that at the end of the contract, you have full ownership of your website. Now, the only thing I will say with this is I think it's pretty fair that they're able to use it, if not publicly, then at least quietly as part of their portfolio when they're presenting to other people. It is a creative industry, and as you can expect, a lot of work comes through being able to show what you've done in the past. So you may have ownership of the website, but they may still want to retain the right to use it as part of their portfolio. That should be really the only rights that they should maintain moving forward. It's going to depend on per agency, it's going to depend per freelancer, but making sure that those terms and conditions are thorough, and also that they can answer any questions you have about it, and it hasn't just been copy and pasted from ChatGPT or some template library somewhere. It's not enough to just say, oh, I thought it was mine. Make sure that they have detailed what is yours, how you can use it, or any limitations in how you might use that in the future. Thanks for watching, and please subscribe to see more and hit the like button if you found this useful. You can also find out more about FluteToot services at FluteToot.com.